Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent that Congresswoman Judy Biggert be allowed to make an introduction of a former staffer on the second panel. And Judy,
without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Chairman Pallone and Ranking Member Shimkus, for giving me this opportunity to address the subcommittee. I am honored to introduce to the subcommittee today Kristin Fitzgerald, who not only is a constituent of mine from Naperville, Illinois, but she is also a valued former member of my staff and the staff of the Education and Workforce, now the Labor Committee. But it is not Kristin's expertise as an outstanding congressional staff member that brings her to this subcommittee today. Rather, it is her experience in seeking treatment and a cure for a rare cancer that afflicted her late husband and dear friend of mine and Ranking Member Shimkus, Ray Fitzgerald. Kristen kept me, Mr. Shimkus, and the rest of us on Capitol Hill informed via daily emails as to what was happening with her husband's treatment, and we felt like we were able to be with her every day during that difficult time. Unfortunately, just over a year ago, Ray passed away from gastric cancer a mere 6 months after he was diagnosed. After seeing firsthand the strengths and weaknesses of the cancer treatment system here in America, Kristen has used her knowledge of government to advocate for improvements in the dissemination of best practices at the NCI and other research facilities across the country. I believe that her ideas have the power to speed cancer research by better leveraging and coordinating our current efforts. Given the excellent work that she did on my staff, I have no doubt that she is up to the task. And with that, I would yield back.
So let's start with Ms. Fitzgerald. Thank you so much.
The mic, is your mic on?
Is that, yeah, is it?
Oh,
there you go.
Members of the subcommittee, I want to thank you for the opportunity to testify at today's hearing. My name is Kristin Fitzgerald. As a former health staffer, I've participated in many congressional hearings. This is, however, my first time on this side of the dais, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak to the challenges facing cancer research. I'm here today not only on my own behalf, but on that of my husband, Ray Fitzgerald, who, as you have heard, was a staffer for Congressman Shimkus. Ray died last January of gastric or stomach cancer. Until his diagnosis in May of 2008, Ray was a healthy 36-year-old man. He had no risk factors for cancer. He had never smoked, drank infrequently, and lived a healthy lifestyle. With a large Irish family before him, there were only 4 unrelated incidences of cancer ahead of him. Nothing would ever have put him at a high risk of a cancer diagnosis. Ray's cancer before his cancer was diagnosed. When Ray was diagnosed, his cancer was in advanced stage 4. His gastric tumor had spread throughout the lining of his stomach and progressed to his esophagus and throughout his liver. We were told that there was no hope of a cure, but that chemotherapy could reduce the cancer for a time. That time was 8 months. This is not an abnormal scenario for gastric cancer. It's the second deadliest cancer worldwide. It very often presents in stage 4 and is always incurable at that point. Ray, however, was 40 years younger than the average gastric cancer patient, and thus the grim prognosis impacted not just Ray, but myself and our 3 young daughters, Nora, Maggie, and Lucy. Nora and Maggie are here. It is my belief that Ray's diagnosis and prognosis is our worst cancer nightmare. Diagnosis of a deadly cancer with very few warning signs at an advanced stage where a cure is impossible. It is a death sentence. And if we think it can't or won't happen to us, we are wrong. Ray was one of us, or at least in your case, your staff. And as I have learned, it could even be happening to one of us right now, and we would never know it. After Ray died, I spent some time talking with Ray's doctors to see how this kind of scenario can be prevented so that more young dads and moms aren't violently stolen from their families by cancer. As a former health staffer, I assumed that gastric cancer research was ongoing and would utilize Ray's tumor specimen and facts about his age and health status to find a cure for this deadly cancer. However, far too little is being done to research gastric cancer and other gastrointestinal or GI cancers that have a similar deadly prognosis. CBS News analyzed the disparity in research dollars in May of 2009. For each cancer death, the most federal research dollars are spent on cancer of the cervix at $18,000 per fatality and breast at $14,000 per fatality, contrasted by the least funded, which is gastric cancer, at $1,100 per cancer fatality. GI cancers are some of the deadliest cancers in the United States, with deaths attributed to the digestive system second only to those in the respiratory system. 4 out of the 5 lowest 5-year cancer survival rates for metastatic cancer are GI: pancreas, liver, esophagus, and stomach. And GI cancers are rising, particularly in young people. A recent NCI article documented the rise in gastroesophageal cancers of the stomach and esophagus. This article compared the incident rates in two 4-year periods, 1975 through 79 and 2000 through 2004. Overall, there was a 44% increase in these cancers. Within gastroesophageal cancers, there was an explosion of a particular type, adenocarcinoma, which is what Ray had. The increase in adenocarcinoma was 465%, with a 190% increase in young white males. And the situation for young people with GI cancers is particularly grim. Because GI cancers are considered to be diseases of middle or advanced age, the diagnosis in people under 40 is often delayed. As a result, the disease is usually in an advanced stage with a poor prognosis by the time the diagnosis is established. And their very age works against them. The strength and relative health of their bodies is passed on to their cancers, making them even more aggressive than in older patients. As a result, GI cancers in young people tend to be fatal. Yet, unlike other deadly cancers, gastric cancer and many other GI cancers do not have a national clinical registry and tissue bank to utilize tumor tissue and clinical records for research purposes. In my view, this is intolerable. Congress and NCI can and should do more to ensure that researchers can have access to the tools they need to prevent and diagnose these cancers before it's too late. Though these cancers are growing, they are poor candidates for wide-scale screening programs due to the smaller population of people impacted and the invasive nature of screening available. More research is essential in order to understand the unique characteristics of the disease in younger people and develop a screening test based on molecular markers to allow for earlier detection. In order to accomplish this research, NCI must develop a coordinated national GI cancer tissue biorepository and accompanying research project to focus research in this area and make tumor tissue available for research purposes. Last year, the Labor HHS Education Appropriations Report included language asking NCI to do just that. To date, this has not yet been accomplished. Congress must act to ensure that these cancers can be detected and cured so that more lives are not lost. Ray was a wonderful man, and his spirit will live on always. However, it's my belief that Congress should fund a research project, tissue bank, and registry so that the physical legacy of a patient like Ray can live on forever, giving eternal gifts to researchers and scientists throughout the world. Members of the subcommittee, thank you for your time and consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Ms. Don?